Is it just me, or have we all seen that iconic bronze eye makeup look? It's giving Victoria's Secret Angel, it's giving effortless, beachy, sultry. I just love this sort of makeup, but I found that a lot of people actually didn't know how to achieve this makeup look. So today I'm walking you through every step of how to achieve this bronzy eye look, as well as bronze glowing skin. It's actually not that hard once you know the techniques. I've really made it super simple, so if you want to know how I achieve this makeup, keep on watching. Before we get into the video, I know a lot of you are going to ask about my nails. They are press-ons. Yes, I know that's crazy. Custom press-ons by my friend Wendy. These are the most beautiful nails I've ever had on my nails. If you guys want custom press-ons, I'm going to link her information in the description down below. But yeah, let's get into today's video. I'm going to start off with my base. I do just want to say really quickly, I do have a little bit of self-tan on. I've been using the Coco and Eve Gradual Self-Tanner. And if you're like me and the burden of putting on self-tan is just a little too much for your lazy self sometimes, this one's really good because you don't have to rinse it off. It's like a white lotion and you just rub it onto your body. I've been really loving it, and as a pale girly, I like the color. I think it looks really natural, and honestly the convenience of it you can't really beat. So I'm gonna link that one down below if you're curious what I'm wearing. But yeah, I recently rediscovered this foundation. I hadn't used it for a while, mostly because this shade is a little bit dark for me, but now that I have a tan, it is perfect, and I've just been loving this foundation. This is the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation, and I just like to apply a small amount of this to my face, and then I blend it out with a brush. This one is by Fenty. If you want to know what shade or what brushes I use throughout this video, I'm linking everything down below, so be sure to check that out. But what I love about this foundation is how long it lasts and how it looks on the skin. It is not too heavy. You guys know I don't like a heavy foundation, but it's also not too light. It still looks natural and skin-like while perfecting my base and giving me that beautiful, flawless finish that I want. I'm going to an event later, so I need this makeup to last, and I know I can rely on this foundation to not wear off and not get cakey. My face is a little bit lighter than my neck currently, so the shade is a bit darker than my face, but I just make sure to blend down my jawline and make sure everything is nice and blended together before I move on. This foundation is buildable, so you can add a little bit more if you want to. I'm kind of leaving it a little bit on the lighter side because I want my skin to look like skin. I don't want it to look too heavy. And plus, we're gonna go in with concealer to kind of even everything out, only applying the foundation where we need. It's just gonna give us the most natural effect. So with that being said, we're gonna move on to concealer. This is the IT Cosmetics Do It All Radiant Concealer Multivitamin Serum. And I recently did a video where I tried this concealer for the first time. I'll put it on the screen if you want to watch it. I just try a bunch of new products and give you speed reviews. But I have been using this since that video, and I did mention that this was a little dark for me, so I decided to give it another try now that I have self-tan, and I actually really like this concealer. I'm applying this concealer sort of all over my face just to add a little bit of extra coverage. This concealer feels really light on the skin, and it's good to apply all over. It's not going to make your face look cakey. I'm just applying this where I want some more coverage. So under my eyes, center of my forehead, around my nose and mouth area, and a little bit on my chin. And what I also like about this concealer is that it is very hydrating. It has skin-loving ingredients, and as long as you set this pretty well, it doesn't crease. But I do think you need to set this concealer. I wouldn't go without setting it. And to blend this out, I just use my Rare Beauty concealer brush. I will link the exact one down below. Love this brush. Okay, so finally, I'm gonna go in with my highest coverage product, which is my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. You'll notice I'm kind of working in order of coverage. So the first product I applied was our lightest coverage. Next with that concealer, more of a medium coverage. This concealer is a high coverage product. I'm using the exact same brush to apply that where I need it. I call this my magic eraser. So I'm really only using the tiniest bit of this on any of my problem areas. For me, I wanted a little bit more coverage underneath my eyes, a little bit more coverage around my nose, and a little on my chin. So I'm just applying it very sparingly in those areas, just for that super perfected look. Remember that a little bit of this product goes a very long way. I'm pretty happy with how my skin is looking in terms of coverage. We're looking a little flat, so we are going to add some bronze and dimension to the face. I'm going in with the Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick in the shade Biscuit. And I'm just going right in with the stick to apply this. I'm going on my cheekbones, a little bit around my forehead, sides of the nose, and just a touch on my jawline. If you have a hard time blending out cream products, you can apply this stick to the back of your hand and then use your brush to pick the product up once it's been warmed up on your hand and then apply it. It's a little bit easier, but since I'm kind of in a rush, this method also works. I'm blending everything out with my Tennille Jai 2.1 Base and Buff brush. This one is so good for contour. And I'm applying everything in a lifted motion. I want my face to look a little bit lifted and very defined. For blush, I kind of want to go for more of a sunburnt, sun-kissed vibe, so I'm going to go in with my Rhode Pocket Blush in the shade Toasted Teddy, and then right on top of that, I'm going to go in with the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Blush Stick in the shade Petal for a little bit of pinkiness, but more so the focus being that Rhode shade that's going to give us that really nice sun-kissed bronzy effect. I'm just tapping that blush into my skin, mixing those two shades together. You can add a little bit more of that burnt red color or a little bit more of that pink color if you like to get the exact shade that you want. I just think these two colors make a really pretty, unique shade. I love the way this looks. Okay, so all of our cream products are applied. I do just want to set my face down before I move on to the eyes because I found that not only setting my face before powder, but setting my face before doing my eyes usually works better for me because I'm not adding moisture to my eyes, can make things smudge, and also just not setting my face before powder makes it look so much better because honestly, when you set your face after powder, the powder and that like blurredness of it kind of just disappears. So to me, it defeats the purpose. But I'm setting my face with the L'Oreal Infallible 3-Second Setting Mist and just applying a nice layer of this to my face before moving on. Moving on to eyes, I'm going to apply a little bit of a base for my shadows. I'm going in with the NARS Total Seduction eyeshadow stick in the shade Oblivion. This is a really pretty contour color for the eyes. This is pretty similar to the Laura Mercier Caviar eye stick in the shade Caramel that I love so much. I'm just applying a little bit of this to my crease and then blending this out with a fluffy brush. Going in with a really soft hand, softening those edges until you kind of can't tell where the shadow begins and where it ends. Okay, so there's a few reasons I applied that cream shadow as my base. This is going to be a map for the rest of my shadows where I want to apply them later on. This is also going to kind of act like a base to make our shadows that we apply on top appear more vibrant, last longer throughout the night, all of that good stuff. I really like these ones by NARS and they have a ton of beautiful colors. All right, now we're gonna start layering our powder shadows. Of course, I'm gonna go in with my Makeup by Mario Master Mattes Neutral Palette. This is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes. I really cannot stray too far from it. Obviously, she is very well loved. It is just that good. I use this, honestly, probably almost every single day at this point, and I haven't hit pan on any of these shades, so what can I say? If you don't have this shadow palette, you might think it's not worth it because it's just a bunch of neutral colors, but trust me, it is. And you'll see, I'm gonna apply these shadows. This is one of my favorite looks lately. So I know we kind of already have that all over bronzy look, but I want to deepen that a little bit. So I'm gonna go in with this shade right here for my crease. This is on a Rougher 15 brush. I like to pick up that shadow and just swirl it on the meaty part of my hand, just because I like to press the shadow into the brush to make sure all of the pigment is evenly distributed and so that we don't go in and it gets patchy or we over apply. This is going to make everything look really smooth, just that little trick, so keep that in mind. And I'm just going to start building that color right on top of where we applied that eyeshadow stick. This is going to further enhance that bronzy look. But again, you want to remember to use a light hand, especially with these powder shadows. You don't want to be able to tell where it starts and where it begins. And to get that airbrushed effect, having a light hand is really important. And if you struggle with this, try holding the brush a little bit lower towards the end of the brush. This is going to give you less pressure. Notice how I'm blending the shadow almost all the way up into my brow bone. This is going to really give us that very sultry, smoky, bronzy look. I also want to slightly deepen up my lids a little bit, so I'm going to mix these two colors up here together for my lid shade. And I'm just going to dust that over the mobile lid. This is going to kind of blend that crease color that we have going on with our mobile lid to give it a cohesive look. I'm going to begin to add some depth and smokiness now, and to do that, I'm going in with my Makeup Forever Artist Colored Pencil in the shade Dimensional Dark Brown. I'm going to be applying this very close to my lash line. I'm not winging it out anything crazy. I'm mainly just following my natural eye shape. And then I'm going in with a teeny tiny little pencil brush. This one is a no-name brush, but I'm going to link one very similar down below that you guys can buy if you need a very small detailed pencil brush. It's very important. And I'm just really taking my time to blend that pencil until it gets really nice and smoky. Again, you kind of can't tell where it begins or where it ends. I am going to be dragging this color out a little bit to create a slightly lifted, slightly winged effect, but nothing too crazy. All right, so now that cream liner is applied, we're going to go on top of it with a slightly more precise brush and then smoke it out after, but I'm taking this one by Prada. This is a really good angled brush. I love this one. And I'm gonna pick up this dark chocolatey brown shade, and I'm just gonna begin to press that right on top of where we applied that cream liner, but I'm keeping it within the borders of that liner. So think about like coloring inside the lines. You don't wanna apply this outside of where you applied that cream liner, if that makes sense. And then once you've applied that shadow, just go right on top with that small pencil brush and just smoke out those edges. This eye look takes a lot of layering, but just trust the process. It's gonna turn out so pretty at the end. I'm gonna drag that a little bit on my lower lash line as well, just to connect my outer lower lash line with what's happening on the top. I'm really just taking whatever is left on my brush. I don't need this to be too intense, just to add a little cohesion. Okay, so you can leave your eyes here if you want. This is really nice, really smoky, sultry, but I kind of want to add a little bit of shimmer, but this is totally optional. I'm going in with the Victoria Beckham Lid Luster in shade Starlight, and this is a beautiful shadow. It's a little bit more gold than I was thinking. I think it might make my eyes pop, which I am into, but I might add a bit of bronze on top. I don't know, we'll see. By the way, you guys, I am wearing contact lenses right now. They are colored contacts, but they're so natural, even in person. Like, I don't think anyone would be able to tell that I'm wearing contacts. I'm gonna link the exact pair that I'm wearing down below because these are by far the most natural looking contacts and the most comfortable colored contacts that I've ever worn. So in case you wanna check them out, they're listed down below. I'm gonna pick up some of the shadow topper with a Revela 02 brush. I'm just gonna pat that on my mobile lid, kind of fluffing it and diffusing it all around the eye, building it up mostly though on that mobile lid. Okay, so this shade is definitely not too gold for this look. I was a little nervous. It's giving very bronze with a slight hint of gold, which I think is so pretty, like especially with these contacts. This is just like such a perfect bronze vibe. I'm gonna put a little bit of this color on my lower lash line as well. Okay, so at this stage, you can kind of take a look at the eyes and see if there's anything you want to add or take away before we do the lashes, because that's kind of the finishing touch. For me, this is perfect. It's not too bronzy, it's not too soft, not too harsh, it's just kind of perfect. But if you want it a little lighter or a little darker, you can definitely add a bit more like darkness, or you can even add like a little bit of lightness in the crease to brighten things up. Whatever you want, this look is pretty customizable. I am going in with some lashes though. These are the Ardell Seamless Lashes in the shade or the style Naked. These are really natural, so this is kind of the vibe I wanted to go with this look, just kind of like natural, long, fluttery lashes. I have a video on how to do lashes like this, where you apply the bond and the seal. I will put it on the screen as well as in the description down below. So if you want to check that out, just click on that. But I'm gonna go off camera and apply these really quick. I'll be right back with some lashes. All right, I'm back. Lashes are done. That is pretty much it for the eyes. Let's move on to finishing touches for the face and the lips. So let's move on to powder. I think I want more of a matte look for today's makeup, so I'm going in with the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder in the shade Cupcake. And I'm just taking a small little one size powder puff. I'm gonna link these exact ones down below because I actually love these so much. And I'm going in with a pretty decent amount of powder on my under eyes, mostly focusing on like my dark circle area, and then adding a little bit more on my outer corner, lifting up towards my temple for a bit more of a lifted kind of look. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and powder my usual spots, like around my mouth and nose, a little bit on my forehead. And then once that powder has sat for a second, I'm just gonna go in with a powder brush and dust everything away. This powder gives a little bit of coverage, which I like, so it kind of like brightens up the center areas of my face. I think it looks very flawless and almost like a filter. Just a couple more finishing touches to add to the face. I do want to add a little bit of powder bronzer just to give me a little bit more warmth. I'm going in with the Victoria Beckham Matte Bronzing Brick in the shade 01, and I'm going in with this slightly deeper shade here on a rougher 05. And I'm just gonna apply that sort of all over the face, mostly on the areas where we applied contour earlier. I really wanna bronze up my forehead, my cheeks as well, maybe a little bit on the side of my nose. I'm gonna add a little bit of a peachy blush on top. I'm going in with my Laura Mercier Blush Color Infusion in the shade Ginger. I'm picking that up on a rougher 04 brush and just tapping that on the apples of my cheeks. And to finish off this look, it is time for lips. I've been loving this lip pencil. This is the Fenty Beauty Traced Out Lip Pencil in the shade Peanut Butter. This is such a pretty cool tone brown, and this will last all day, all night. This is such a long lasting pencil without being like crumbly and too dry. This one's still quite creamy. So I'm just gonna use that pencil to overline my lips. I'm mainly focusing on my Cupid's bow to give my lips a more plump look, and then a little bit in the center of my lower lip. For the rest of my lip, I'm hugging pretty close to my natural lip shape. I'm applying a little bit of shading on my outer corners just to give my lips a slightly more contoured look. I'm going to be layering 2 Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks today. The first one I'm going to go in with is Runway Royalty. This is just a really pretty nude pinkish brownish lip shade. It's almost like a Your Lips But Better shade. I'm just tapping that kind of all over the entire lip, just avoiding the very outermost corners of my lip. To make this a little bit more nude, I'm going in with the shade Penelope Pink just in the center of my lips. I always love a glossy lip, so I'm going in with my Charis Cosmetics Water Gloss. This is honestly the glossiest gloss I've ever tried, and I love the applicator because we put so much work into our lip combo and then we go in with a doe foot applicator and it kind of just smudges everything around, but as you guys can see, this applies the gloss right on top of the lip combo without actually disturbing the lip combo or really changing the color. It has a slightly milky finish, but it looks so good, honestly, on top of any lip combo, not just a nude lip. I almost forgot a little bit of glow. I always apply a little bit of inner corner highlight to my inner corner, so I'm going in with this NARS Light Reflecting Luminizing Powder in the shade Eros. And I'm just applying that right in my inner corner for just a little bit of extra pop, a little bit of extra attention to the eyes. And this is that finished bronzy makeup look. This is such a flattering makeup look. It looks so good in pictures, in person, in video even. I have been wearing this look nonstop. It's kind of my new go-to when I want to look really put together. It's giving like soft glam bronzed. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more kind of get ready with me style videos, make sure to give this a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. Most of you who are watching are not subscribed, and it only just takes a couple seconds and it helps me out so much. If you haven't seen my last video, I show you how to get the perfect winged liner in 3 steps. It is really great for beginners, or if you really just want a foolproof method for a winged liner that is perfect, that won't budge, check that out. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.